Looking at this man, right? He's gonna have to perform just like he did yesterday. It feels like.
You're a trusty man.
Yeah, a lot of pressure is going to be on Emo to create the space this game for Medusa to farm and accumulate net worth.
Yeah. We'll have to see how things go, though, because LGD, they are a team that have already shown us that pinpoint precision in terms of knowing their exact timings and hitting their stride. Have been, funnily enough, extremely disciplined as well, even though they are to a certain extent, or were to a certain extent, styling on their opponents. But this is game 1 of the best of 3. We are in the upper bracket, so both these teams, 1 win away from being 1 win away from qualifying, which is a funny way to say it. But yeah, so of course on the other side of the bracket it's G2IG versus Zero Ray. Whoever wins that will be the opponent of this of the team winning this series, and from there it's just qualification to DreamLeague direct. So I think everybody, it can't be understated how important international experience is for these rosters. LGD, they've had their fair share of that, and maybe they'll use that to their advantage here to execute this draft that you know, a Crash, am I right to say? So I've already expressed that I'm not really feeling LGD's draft too much as I have confidence in them. What about you? Where's your head at?
This is a good opportunity to
I think that my thoughts are that if LGD can win the first 7 to 10 minutes of this game, they should be on the trajectory to be able to take the game. But if this game goes even in the laning stage, if LGD don't pull too far ahead, Bright are going to be in a much better position with their Razor, their Marcy. This is actually a pretty cool lane.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of this Razor Marcy. Like, it's not the most crazy kill lane, but when you think about it, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's just got to stand its ground and continue punching away. For now, though, Red Panda, the recipient of said punches, they'll give it over to Neo. Good discipline from PYW to pull back that auto attack. The Brewmaster already off to a good start. I think, like you mentioned, there are some interesting dynamics there with the Marcy pullback and slow, and the Razor being able to sap away the damage. But I don't think Brewmaster's too concerned about that, especially the Lion, because they're just gonna magic damage you to absolute death.
Yeah, it could be a good lane, I think, on paper. Like, but this is what we talk about a lot, right? On paper, it's a lot different than in practice. But, I mean, that's what the draft is, right? The draft is just on paper. It's gotta come down to practice at the end of the day. Once you get into the game, the draft, I mean, it matters for sure, but you can still win a game that you have the worst draft.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of wondering, do you think that any team particularly won the draft per se? Because 7 to 10 minutes is a very small time frame to try and eke out an advantage. I mean, we've seen great teams do it before, but LGD's lineup doesn't necessarily scream early game dominance to me.
These lane shenanigans coming out from both PYW and Red Panda.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to connect things here. I think it started with PRW trying to basically bank up the creep. Yeah, he's got to double stack it, essentially. Oh, even get a courier while he's at it. Why not? But yeah, he's trying to amass his creep wave so it comes as a big wave, big pushing force into the tower. But oh, he's taking quite a bit of damage. PYW might have just given over his life here to Red Panda. One last kick to the back of the head. Be able to do so. It's some nice EXP here on his own. And yeah, but this is the intended effect, right? You're trying to send a whole crashing creep wave because I don't think they're so comfortable with letting New try and 1v1 the Razor in the lane. That's just not really going to work out.
No, and you pair that up with the Lion as well. It's such a dirty lane, right? You have multiple ways of proccing that Cinder Brew.
Oh, I was actually thinking the other direction. I'm thinking, like, unless you're trying for a kill on the Brewmaster and the Lion onto Razor, Razor's just gonna whip you. Like, I don't think New can actually stand 1-to-1 in lane. That's my issue.
I think as long as you have PYW in the area, you should be fine, but maybe not. I think Brewmaster Lion is a strong enough lane that the Razor Marcy, if it's early on enough, they don't have the most skill potential, but to be fair, neither do you until you're like level 3.
Yeah, let's see how that pans out here for now. The effects of PYW's sacrifice are coming into play with New being able to sap out quite a bit of juicy EXP. Real winner of the laning stage though, and maybe just to alleviate some of your worries about, I guess, butterfly effect here in this mid lane, he's doing fine. 16-0 to the 12-3. I mean, it's a pretty even matchup overall. I would dare say it's even slightly Kanka favored, unless the Ember Spirit pulls out some neat tricks like chains on the tower, some type of thing like that. I mean, double bracer Kanka, it's a bit of a tough customer to beat.
Yeah, unless you're like what, Alina, I really don't see you doing too well into the Kunkka lane.
Yeah. It's not too bad
Puck
though,
as well,
Grandmaster.
maybe. Puck can do fine.
Yeah, Puck if it's played by Emo, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that was some disgusting stuff right there yesterday. Now to see how things shake out. For now, very quiet early game apart from some of the shenanigans in the bot side. Realistically speaking, I don't think they'll be able to threaten Shiro up here between TK and Irving. Especially if YU Smile's just bodyguarding him. Speaking of threaten, TK in a little bit of trouble. The last little spear had a Lotus in the back pocket, able to fog them through the trees. And now Irving chasing down. Nice stick though. Starting to get burned down by the Scorched Earth. It's level 2 right now. It's doing quite a significant amount of damage, forcing the safe lane of LGD back.
Now, I don't know about you, my friend, but it is very satisfying to me to watch the Medusa run out of mana and just instantly die.
Oh,
Like,
no,
just,
I feel you.
it's so satisfying to me.
It's such a weird thing as well, because I think as Dota players, we're conditioned to really keep an eye on the health bars. And the way that Medusa's health bar works is, it almost feels like you're lagging a little bit, right? Suddenly it just starts disappearing rapidly and you're like, what? I think, yeah, but of course Shiro, no slump here. He knows how to manage his resources well. Both of them doing pretty well for themselves, 14-2, but the Doom definitely having advantage here, and this is why we see he's so strong in this meta. They're starting to collapse upon YU Smile. PYW's rotator up here to the top side, but burning out to the Scorched Earth is the Enchantress. Now they do have a Harpy Stormcrafter who's able to just zap Irving down to size. Might be able to get a second one. Shiro getting that kill. It's actually PYW grabbing the last hit, but the fact that the Medusa is able to stand her ground and maintain her presence in the lane is very, very important.
Shiro's already got the mana boots as well, so the survivability is increased tenfold on this Medusa. It's like a mini mechanism.
Jumping forward now onto New. This is the concern that we had, and the Brewmaster left high and dry on his lonesome. Red Panda takes full advantage of seeing PYW, and oh no, not again. Now, not so much of a solo kill, but PYW after his excursion in the top side at least makes the most out of it with an Emo tag team kill onto the Kunkka.
You got to be careful of the PYW rotations pretty much throughout this entire game. If Lion catches you off guard,
yeah, it's way too many
you've got
disables.
a lot to deal. Like you've got a lot of damage to bump into the Hex, the Earth Spiked hero, whether it be the Medusa later or the Ember Brewmaster. Even Enchantress right now can output quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, I mean, we saw YU Smile kind of lingering in the area as well in case additional backup was needed. Now, as we near the 6 minutes, supports on Team Bright have rotated over to this area. Emo, some cute plays, but even cuter from Butterfly Effect, timing the Torrent perfectly on his initial location. Not able to contest for that shield rune, and somebody snagged up by the Kunkka. You're not killing him for the next 2 minutes.
And New, it looks like he recognizes how difficult this game is going to be for him. He's got a Vlad's queued up on the Brewmaster, which I think is fine. Right, I've got no problems with it, but it's not the old school Midas Radiance that we've been so commonly seeing recently.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I don't think the Midas Radiance is even really a thing anymore as Ulu, in some trouble out of nowhere. Impetus from the bot side must have just gone through the Twin Gates, catching Ulu a bit too aggressive. I think he was feeling himself a little bit in that lane and not respecting the gank potential. But yeah, I mean, yesterday we saw some unique builds coming out as well, right? The Blink Rush from Shang Yu. Like, I thought that was highly effective, and maybe Brewmaster has sort of transformed back into that hero where you get intermediate items to tide you through the early game.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate it. I think YU Smile, he's going to stick around in this bottom area. They're going to try to get another kill, but we've got a rotation coming in from Butterfly Effect as well.
Yeah, shield rune popped. Some remnants of that, actually, not fully. But Neil, he's so close to that level 6. You want to kill the Kunkka right before. Oh, that's the setup. It's on to PYW, though. Not really the prime target that they wanted, but it'll be what they have to settle for, pulling him back. Should be enough for Red Panda to secure that kill. Nice rotation from Butterfly Effect. So a lot of time spent for a support. I guess it's a decent chunk of change for your Razor, but still.
Yeah, like you said, it's not the hero that you wanted, but it's the hero that you're going to get. And it's a good first rotation, right? First boat is successful. That's pretty good. That's all that you can really ask for.
Yeah. Emo, dude, this guy... Okay, I know it's a really small thing, and it's gonna sound like I'm gassing him up for no reason, but I might have to hold that thought. There's a rune contest yet again, unfortunately. Gonna spawn in that top side. Red Panda, though, they might just claim a pickup kill as TK grabs the case to try and come over and help his ally. Maybe Emo is in trouble now. It's a 3v2 situation and there's only so much PYW can do, but beautiful jukes here from Emo. It's not going to be enough as they cut down the Ember Spirit, dancing around too much. Can't really outrun them at this juncture. It's going to go down.
It's weird to say, this is the most Emo has died in what, 2 series,
That's crazy.
right?
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay. I mean, why you smile, like you mentioned, he stayed down here. He's cleared out some creep camps, but I mean, in response, he wasn't really able to contest in the mid lane. They are trying to put on some pressure on this bot tier 1 tower, though. Neil with the level 6, he's ready to start fighting and put some claps out. TP's coming through, though. He has to watch out for that Doom. They set up right in time, they managed to connect, and that's a dead Brewmaster.
Yeah, right now, like you said in the draft, the big Doom target's going to be the Medusa. But for now, you're going to settle for the Brewmaster. Right now, the most important thing is just using the Doom. Right? You don't want to sit there with Doom off cooldown for like 10, 15 minutes. You would like to use it as soon as possible, and that's exactly what we see happen.
So, Crash, you're familiar with this, but for the viewers at home, you guys are... there is something that we've come to sort of research known as the Medusa metric, right? Medusa, as we know, one of the highest propelling late game carries in Dota in general. But I'm just wondering what the specifics of the metric are as we see Why You Smile finally being flushed out of this area. My main... okay, here's how the metric goes, okay? No matter how much you're dying, no matter how much gold you're giving over, as long as the Medusa is free farming, you should be in a good spot. We see that kind of reflected in the net worth chart as well. But I guess I just want your opinion, Crash. How possible or how plausible do you think it is for Shiro to one-man carry this game, and especially if he's getting ganked here? It might not be that possible. Both supports tag teaming up onto this poor Medusa, doesn't have a stone gaze leveled up, trying to max out on the efficiency. You immediately see the response from LGD. They can't allow this to happen. The metric must be kept intact as Red Panda will pay the price. Last shot to the back of the head. Why You Smile will land that one with a nice little impetus, but they protect the Medusa.
Got a little bit more action coming out here in this top lane as well.
Beautiful chains onto Irving. Finger of Death is all it takes to take him down. I don't know about you, but Doom, you know you might be from hell, but he's been to hell and back, and allegedly back to hell and back again. So you gotta show some respect.
Yeah, you may be the master of the hells, but Lion, he's well traveled.
Yeah, he's got an express visa to hell. Okay, he doesn't care about your customs officers. But
He's got many hell stamps on his passport.
Yeah, they're all. He might have stayed in hell longer than you, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, jokes aside though, let's go back to the initial point, right? I'm worried because, yes, they were just able to propel some of the Team Bright heroes out of their territory, but how important is it that this Medusa farms? Because we already talked about it, Team Bright have a lineup that's really good at just dealing with the 4 Protect 1, right?
Yeah, if you can get on top of this Medusa, that's the name of the game, right? Is this going to be like maybe a blink dagger on Doom, like some sort of veil blink? I know that's not crazy talk, but the blink is going to be very important in this game for the Doom.
Straight into the bot side, forcing the primal split. First one of the game from Neil. He wants to get action happening. Shiro coming in with the level in the Stone Gaze as well. Now, right, it's a very awkward fight for them to take into the face of all these ultimates, but they'll turn around, Doom up Emo. There's a dead Ember Spirit on your screen. He's starting to sap out the damage from the Medusa, and suddenly, things have turned around. They've stunned up the Medusa in the tree line, found him a TK, beautiful stuff. And the divide and conquer, Team Bright, they're able to just push back the entire side of LGD. It's not enough damage at this present point in time. The Marcy goes down in the end, but Why You Smile, it's a 4-for-1 exchange, as this is not your first primal split that you want to have.
No, and it's not the Medusa rotation that you want either. That was a big ol' yikes for me. I mean, I'm not too sure what Shiro's plan was there. Like, you're just not ready right now on the Medusa, and we see, like, no damage coming out from Medusa in that fight, really. It didn't hit right with that gank on Medusa. It just didn't feel too good, and it's reflected, obviously. We do have some nice stacks in the triangle to help Medusa come back. So maybe that's the play. Maybe that's what Shiro wanted to do, was rotate bottom, take the fight, and then rotate back up into this triangle to farm these Ancients. That could have been the play, but it was super aggressive from LGD.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think more so than that, as we see a smoke move coming out from LGD looking for a bit of a revenge here. You know, taking that tier 1 tower, there's a degree of importance importance there because, you know, it's a lot easier to assemble a smoke into the opposing triangle from your bot tier 1. And, you know, Brewmaster doesn't necessarily present the most tower push threat, at least not at this point in the game. So having that still standing is a very big boon for Team Bright right now, as they have some trust stacks of their own to farm up. Butterfly effect, top of the net worth at 7.4k. This is a very, very farmed Kunkka, and he's going into an Orchid after this Blade Mail. Very interesting stuff.
I like it. Right?
I love
it's
it.
just right. If you're going to be dooming the Medusa, you need something to deal with the Ember and the Brewmaster. Orchid.
Perfect.
It's amplified by the Veil as well. You've got quite a bit of magic damage to go on top of that Orchid as well, right? You've got now a nice mixture of magical and physical damage coming out from the Kunkka. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you need, especially against the Brewmaster and the Ember. You think about starting the fight as well, new if you just have it silenced up, like we already mentioned. LGD don't really have any saves, but right now, Ulu might be the one who needs a bit of help, just getting worked down by the new and Why You Smile combo. It just goes to show that the Razor is still very susceptible if he's just left all alone. He can't actually be farming these lanes out here like that.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what Ulu was doing there, especially without a tier 1 tower. You should at this point just be backing up into the jungle, right? Recognizing that, hey, there's no tower, there's no support for me if I get dove. It's time for me to go back to my own safety.
Yeah. Shiro finally starting the metric out, as you can see, starting to climb up on the net worth. Manta complete. Looking towards that immediate butterfly. Like you mentioned, maybe it is that 20-minute timing that LGD are playing for, right? With the Vlads. I mean, of course, the Brewmaster has pivoted off the Vlads a little bit. I believe last we checked he has earned. He's still going to go back for it, and now that Spirit Vessel is complete.
Double damage empowers.
20 minutes, end the game.
Spirit Vessel
thinking?
this game. Maybe.
Yeah?
Maybe. I mean, if you take one, like that's the thing with this Medusa, right? This 20-minute Medusa timing. If you take one good fight, your buildings are dying.
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't really represent the largest building threat, but it's just that, you know, she represents this sweeping wave that can just leave you, I guess, unarmed, right? Like, when a Butterfly Medusa pops up on the map, unless you were specifically prepared for it already, you're going to need a bit of time before you gather the items, whether it's MKB or whatever you need to get to deal with her. And that's kind of what LGD seem to be gearing up for. But with this Orchid completion, looking for a smoke move, whoever dares show their face in this mid lane is going to have a rough time. Emo. That Mage Slayer might not necessarily be a good target. The swap back. A bit of miscommunication there, but the stuns will still connect. Pull him right back into the boat. A little bit of a confusing one to start things out, but they had that perfectly planned. You know, every single little caveat covered.
Yep. Precast of the Orchid on the Ember Spirit. I mean, everything beautiful.
Your admiral is on board.
Like we say, a lot of setup on Team Bright. No saves on LGD. That is going to be happening throughout the game. Whoever they catch essentially is forfeit unless this Medusa Stone Gaze can come through. Primal Split on the top side. They want to get the kill onto Irving, but here comes Rip Panda and the rest of the gang immediately rotating up here, and the Pavis will fish him out of here. Why You Smile will now be the target, and he is going to go down. You pop another split where you don't get a kill and instead give one over to Butterfly Effect. That is not a good look. New and these splits, it just hasn't been working out for LGD this so far.
See, the problem with the bottom the problem with that sort of gank compared to that bottom gank was you just rotate heroes into the tier 1. Like, it's not rocket science, right? You literally just TP in the heroes. So because that tower is there, LGD, they can't make, like, you can't expect them to not rotate heroes like that.
I guess my main thing is that right now, Emo, similar to yesterday's success, he was playing a very individualistic game and he was finding these solo pickoffs on supports, on its Ember, on its Puck. But that's not something you can really do this game. Team Bright, they're stuck together like a pack of homies and they aren't leaving each other's grasp, right? Red Panda and TK, they've basically been tag teaming up throughout the entire early game. And you're not going to find these single pickoffs. You can imagine that, you know, in that go on Irving, if the Ember was there to just offer a slight chance, he would have been dead for sure. But the fact that Emo's kind of not really banding up with his brothers, I guess that's kind of where the missing damage is at the moment. I kind of wonder what this game plan is, because they're making a beeline for him right now, and if he just get out of here, he's going to be in big trouble. Oh, silence up. Yeah, he's dead.
Good and dead.
You don't even need the Doom. I mean, Irving had the arms pumped up, but in a way, PYW with the stun actually preserves that resource for them. And yeah, I mean, they still have the Doom. They basically didn't need to do anything there or use any resources.
And this is honestly getting a little scary for LGD. Right now, it's got to be up to Medusa. A lot of pressure is on Shiro to farm and farm and farm and then carry.
Yeah, it feels a bit odd as well because they picked this Medusa really early on, and similar to the Morphling that we saw go along fall into the trap of, it's a hero that is very, I won't say easy to counter, but the response, everyone knows what to do against Medusa, right? You either take away her damage so that she basically is nothing but a plush toy in the fights, or you single her out of the fight with so many disables that she can't actually do anything. You have all those tools and more on Team Bright. It feels like they've teched completely perfectly, and the rest of LGD's supporting cast haven't been able to get much done.
There's the little friends coming out from Enchantress, a little bit, just 1,500 away.
Radiant's middle tower is
Dude,
under attack.
I'm telling you, I'm a real big fan of this little friends.
I can't wait to see it. I trust you, but I just haven't.
Dude, for a long time, I didn't even know it had a root. Like, I just thought it was such a bad ability. I never actually took a second to read the ability and recognize that, hey, it has a root tied to the amount of hero, or the amount of creeps, or like creep units around you.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds impressive in theory, but at the same time, Team Bright, they don't really have any Team-esque or summons or stuff like that. But now, that's not going to stop them from going into the Roche, though. We already sort of identified the heavy emphasis on physical damage early on. This isn't a difficult objective for them to just walk up and snag.
And this was a Roshan that LGD would have loved to have themselves. They're not quite ready for it yet, mind you, but they still would have loved to claim that first Aegis for their Medusa.
Absolutely. It's still... I mean, even if you get that Aegis, it definitely feels more like it's farming. We're well past the 7 to 10 minute mark that you mentioned LGD need to be ahead on. Right now, it's a 2k gold lead for Team Bright and an Aegis in their Kanka's pocket. And it kind of feels like they can start sweeping up to these tier 2s and taking that away from the LGD lineup.
Dire's top tower.
You've almost got Aghanim Scepter on the Kunkka as well. Emo, he recognized that he can't wait for his Lincoln Sphere. He's got to deal with his Orchid right now. He's gonna grab the Yule Scepter on the Ember Spirit. I think this is a good transition for Ember, right? You can't wait for Lincoln Sphere. It's just too hard, too long of a wait.
Yeah, and it's also, I feel like Lincoln Sphere is always this item that feels a bit awkward to grab because yes, you have that defensive potential thanks to it, and it allows you to split the map a little more, but what does it really do for you in the fights, right? That your hero isn't already doing. That's kind of a scary thing right now. Team Bright, they're about to hit a devious timing. The BKB being looked up by Red Panda is one component away from that. He's just going to be able to eliminate Why You Smile or maybe even Emo with one silence or something like that coming up on Flyback.
And you can't forget about the threat of the Doom. Doom is always going to be a big threat this game, whether it be on the Brewmaster, on the Medusa, on the Ember Spirit. A lot of good targets for Doom.
Yeah, for sure. But speaking of the Medusa, Butterfly complete on Shiro already. It is supposed to represent some sort of timing that you would have liked to hit if it wasn't for this Aegis on the other side. And some of the tier 1s, especially the top ones, still standing. Now, it doesn't necessarily matter per se, but like you mentioned, the easy TP rotations, just greater accessibility all over the map. It's hard for LGD to really establish any foothold.
I'm getting worried for LGD in all honesty. I mean, the net worth gap is decreasing a little, right? It's bouncing between the 2 to 1k mark, so it's not going up necessarily.
Yeah.
But it is like you see it slowly climbing up there. The experience is the real one that's getting out of hand.
Yeah. I mean, experience and gold aside, it just comes back down to the heroes and the capabilities, right? If you put all these heroes 6 slotted on each side, who's going to win these fights? Right? Who's going to win these fights? And I can't help but feel like a Doom who can run in an AoE Doom with an Axe eventually, or the Kanka with all this AoE control. I mean, even if you... And that's the thing, right? You don't really want to get BKB on the LGD cause, but it almost feels like you have to. Even if you do, there's Doom, there's Massive Basher, there's Swap. It kind of feels like the toolbox on Bright is just limitless right now.
And they have an infinite way of dealing with most of your heroes.
True.
We might see a wrap. No, it just looks like Enchantress is hiding in the trees and Ember's going to cut the wave.
Yeah. That feels like the MO right now. They can't
Yeah.
afford to engage into this lineup. It's an easy tier 2, like we
Dire's
mentioned.
top tower has
Now the
fallen.
Aegis is starting to run out a little bit here, right? 1.5 minutes left on that bad boy. And they've only sort of claimed 1 tier 2 so far. So at Team Bright, I guess for better or for worse for LGD, they don't seem to necessarily be in a rush. I don't think it's really a good thing for LGD though.
Yeah, I mean LGD, they've got the Medusa, right? The Medusa metric go burr. It's still going up. Medusa's currently top of the net worth, but right now Medusa is not ready.
That's
You've
kinda my
missed the
thing.
window, right? You've missed the early game Medusa window.
Right, so you kind of have to play for late, but that's kind of my issue, right? Play for late and then you get doomed. That's why you smile. He gets tagged up. Daytime Vision is a devious master. Let's come forward, punch him down. The Emo looks to be interested in starting something here. PYW gonna wrap around. Nice finger of death to claim 1 kill. You're gonna pop the BKB on Red Panda too, just to try and survive. TPR, but physical damage. Not respecting it. Emo able to mop up too. Heads up play here. They spotted out Emo. They spotted out the Kanka as well as the Razor lurking around the mid lane and realized that they could outnumber them in the fight. So snagging up 2 free pickoffs on the spot here.
Why you smile? The second he stands out of the trees, he gets ganked. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you do at that point? But a beautiful turnaround from LGD, and now they've got a little bit of a window. Sure, you're fighting into Aegis and BKBs, but Doom is off the table.
Yeah. And not to mention that the Aegis is literally expiring in 3 seconds. So you're not really fighting into an Aegis anymore, but you are fighting into Torrent Storm, which is going to be a big problem. I mean, Butterfly Effect, he has both the Blink and the Shard queued up, but he could snag that one at this interval, and it's, yeah, there we go. It's just so much control, and BKB check on the LGD heroes, not a single one. You're just going to get swept away by the tides like this.
Hey, you've got to be super careful from the repositioning tools, whether it be the
Radiant's
swap,
top tower
the
is under
dispose, right? There are so many
Yeah.
ways of moving the enemy closer towards you, making the Medusa go out of position. And sure, Medusa's a hero that wants to stand there and farm, or stand there and fight, but if you're trapped into 5 heroes, you're dead, right? You can fight all you want, but with 5 heroes beating you down, you should very well die.
I mean, not even getting beat down, right? I mean, even if you're standing your ground and the Razor's just there and they don't reposition you at all and you're 1v1ing the Razor, you don't win. Your damage is gone. And that's kind of the scary thing. You keep mentioning this, Crash. You're saying, okay, you know, we play for late game timing. I just keep wondering, even in the late game, is Shiro alone enough? Because we know Brewmaster, yes, he can reach a really annoying point of refresher, you know, double primal split, and then you run in, push the towers like that. But I just don't see the LGD heroes really contesting in the later stages of the game. And I don't know, it kind of feels like LGD, they're just waiting around and I'm not sure for what.
The game is going to progressively get harder and harder for LGD as Razor starts accumulating more items, right? He's even got a Diffusal Blade queued up on the Razor, so after the Butterfly, right into the Diffusal Blade. Disperser is a great item on Razor nowadays.
I mean, the age-old problem with a lot of these carries is that they want to stick on top of you, but they're getting slowed and hindered and whatnot. Traditionally, Razor deals with that with the BKB, and then now you just have an additional tool that isn't so high committal that you can pop on yourself and just continue whipping them into shape, which is just great. I heard a BKB being popped. Red Panda found again in the tree line, as if anyone to jump to. Nowhere on the horizon, no. PYW, the Doom was there to fish his buddy out, and just like that, even purges the Spirit Vessel off him. Just keep him healthy. Yeah, and LGD, that's just okay. I mean, good job. You chased the Marcy away. What now?
Yeah, and it's not even like you made Razor use his BKB, right? It's the Marcy BKB. It's really not that big of a deal. Sure, it helps the Marcy, right? But Marcy's still going to be able to do Marcy things in the fights without it.
Okay, you advertise Little Friends. I'm just waiting for it to come into play here.
Well, we gotta wait for LGD to actually take a fight first.
It kind of feels like they want to with how they're grouping up in this top side, but it's gonna be into a BKB Doom now. Irving, that's fresh on his courier. That's scary business. Trying to at least finish
All
off
of these
this tower.
Right, that matter have the BKBs.
Oh, Irving jumping forward, looking for an angle. Why are you smart? Why are you?
Why are you dying? There's a much better question there.
I know why he's dying. He thought he could Little Friends solo kill Red Panda. But given that you used 4 heroes to try and chase him down just now and it didn't even work, it kind of feels really ambitious. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a pos 5 Enchantress, not too big of a deal, right? But you know, you don't get the tower, which is what I assume you were coming here for.
Roshan number 2. Cheese for once. I feel like we saw a lot of Roshan banner yesterday. Nowadays, we're going to see the cheese.
I don't think I'm a cheese fan. I'm a cheese fan. I know
I'm a big cheese fan.
I know people are like, oh, new item, oh, but
I'm not sold on the Roshan banner in all honesty.
Yeah, no,
I'm not sold on it quite yet. Maybe I'm willing to be impressed by the Roshan banner, but right now it's just not hidden just right.
I guess it's just that cheese is such a straightforward tool to use as compared to the Roche banner, where it feels like you need to structure some sort of map layout that the banner is going to create an advantage. I mean, it also depends on what heroes you're dealing with, right? LGD, I don't think Emo and Shiro have any issues clearing waves whatsoever.
Yeah, and with the Roshan banner, right, it is a global cast range, so you can put it anywhere. And the way that I've been hearing it described to me is that, you know, let's say you're pushing bottom, put the Roshan banner top to have that lane push in as well. So it's just a way of dealing with your waves without actually putting a hero there.
That feels like something you'd have to do if you're on the back foot, though, right? Like dealing with your waves.
Gotcha.
Or like dealing with
no,
some
not
sort of
necessarily.
split push.
Like, let's say you want to push high ground, but your top lane's being pushed in and your mid lane's being pushed in. Sure, you could probably get away with one of those lanes being pushed in, but both of them, it's going to stop your high ground push and make you go back and deal with these waves. Instead, you just pop the Roshan banner, and the waves will deal with themselves.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
I guess all this is just theoretical because all we have is cheese now, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine it. Right now, it doesn't seem like LGD particularly have been interested in taking any sort of fight for a while now. It's very much been solo offerings of these, as we see. Oh, Doom up here on this top side. Once again, Invaders in the top part. He's going to try TP out, but yeah, second Inferno Blade. This should be easy. Gets a kill onto New again. Yeah, it goes back to what we're saying. They're playing very drawn back. They're not interested in actually engaging into Team right now, and makes sense with the ages, but just some split pushing. Maybe the Roche banner would have helped them here.
Maybe. Not to harp on the Roshan banner too much, but it's one of those things where cheese is visually, you can see it, right? You see the impact that cheese has. Okay, we've got a 4-staff online as well, so we do have a little bit of save coming out from PYW, right? It's not a Glimmer Cave and a 4-staff, just the 4-staff, but it should be enough if you've got the proper communication to help the Medusa.
Yeah. I mean, the fights are going to get chaotic, right? Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe you end up forcing her closer to Razor, but the idea is there. You're trying to break up the static link as soon as possible, so to avoid literally a Medusa doing nothing. Now, smoke up from LGD. They want to find some sort of pick-off or maybe start something, catch Bright with their pants down.
Yeah, they know Doom is down. That's the important thing.
Well, they'll try for it now and they'll just run into Ulu. Seems like there's some pings coming out. They seem to know that Ulu was just in this area, but TK behind him presents a big problem. Let's start the fight. It's done up. They know they need to deal with the Venge on the backline. If not, a swap will come through. But he ends up swapping further back instead, trusting Ulu to be able to run this one off. And sure enough, Ulu is completely fine. Starts turning around Emo, desperately trying to finish him off, but he's run into Butterfly Effect, who's taking so much damage. They've walked down 2. It's a Shiro BKB and the run forward. This is prime Medusa. This is what you want. You want them to be fleeing from you, and that's where you do your best work. Just somehow, some way, LGD get the jump, and Emo forces back the Vengeful Spirit, kills off Butterfly Effect, who came in to try and help. And now they're the ones hitting your high ground.
Yeah, Shiro, he is... look, he's not solo for the game, but his itemization as well as the itemization from his team is enabling this Medusa so heavily.
They started to go in. No Doom, no problem. Irving, he's finally got it out onto the Medusa in spite of Lincoln's, and okay, there'll be Why You Smiles to sacrifice again as the rest of LGD able to evacuate from this situation. The Medusa's already made a way out of there.
Did you see how long Irving was rooted there, though? That is the power of little friends.
Oh, true. Yeah, I was like, hey, why is he just kind of sitting around? I didn't even
Standing
realize
there.
that. Yeah, I thought he was just like flexing on them a little bit, like, oh, look at my muscles.
Yeah, I don't need to move. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, like you're gonna die in front of me whether or not I do anything. But no,
Yeah.
Medusa able to get out of there. And I guess that's kind of what LGD are hoping for, right? You just need to find these little intervals where you get solo pickoffs to start the fight. You might not be able to fight 5v5 anymore, but you need to ride a wave of initial advantage and take the fight that way.
Okay, Hurricane Pike on the docket for Shiro as well. Just a little bit more to, right, disengage from the Razor, disengage from the Venge,
Radiant's top
stop the
tower
Marcy
is
from
under
jumping
attack.
on you. Force stabs are going to be the name of the game this game for LGD. Why you smile? I wouldn't be too surprised to see him pick one up after now that he's got that Dragonlance.
Yeah.
Another smoke out from LGD. They want more. They got a taste of victory, and they are going to try to push the advantage a little bit now with the BKB on Medusa. Once again, Doom is off the docket. No Doom for a little bit longer.
Yeah. I mean, we're starting to see one of the small weaknesses of this Bright lineup, right? The lack of tower push and the lack of objective just kind of taking potential. Even though they've been dominant for what feels like a large portion of the game, they haven't really been able to convert it into the tier 2s, even with Aegis in their hands. And the Medusa metric, I think maybe I was doubting it a little bit because of their opposition, but it
Radiant's
still
top
is
tower is
relevant
under
here.
attack.
Shiro is
Yeah.
terrifying at this point, especially the Daedalus.
Yeah, we saw, I mean, we can visually see how much damage the Medusa was doing, right? And we saw that fight as well. Medusa is hitting like a big old, like, 16-wheeler, right? That's a big old
Okay.
truck.
Okay. You ever been hit by a truck before, Crash?
Yeah, actually, multiple times, Sneeze. Funny,
Okay.
funny you asked that, yeah.
Yeah, you sound like a...
Radiant are scanning.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, 6k gold lead now, I think we're at this stage of the game where the gold lead doesn't necessarily tell a significant story at this juncture. Oh, but right back. Uh-oh. This is not who you can afford to lose. He's the one guy about a BKB. Easy finger of death, easy kill. And I just want to know, I'm desperately looking at the map. Crash, if you can answer my question, that'll be ideal. My guess is this beautiful ward placed outside of the large
Yes.
camp that spotted him walk up there. Sorry, closer to the mid lane is the one that I was mentioning. Yeah.
Oh no, it's that one
Radiant's
right there. The
bottom
observer
tower
was
is under attack.
highlighting. That ward just died there.
Ah,
so they were
okay,
able to
you're
see
right, you're
Butterfly
right.
Effect walk into that.
I thought he came in from the
strip
mid lane.
area.
But yeah, I mean, just off of that, 18 seconds without, you're gonna swap him into the Doom, but a bit of miscoordination, able to jump away, the Ogre Seal Totem, that's disastrous, already losing 2, and now Irving dropping low as well, it's not enough HP, too much physical, forced to buy back now, but it's a 3v5 situation. Ulu, what can you get done? You're running into the carnage, starting to sap away the damage from Shiro, but you just can't stand your ground, the kills are too much, or can you? Ulu, he's starting to do it here, but now with the full focus turned back onto him, with the Enchantress laying in, Ulu alone can't do it all. And they'll toss TK up, one fell swoop, LGD. They were waiting for their opening.
Radiant's bottom
And oh, Shiro, he's been quiet the whole game, and just that voice line. Just like that, LGD. Yeah, GG's call, it's over.
GG.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Well, they
Kick
didn't
on-
hit the earlier
wow.
Medusa timing, but they definitely hit the later Medusa timing, and they hit it running. Right,
Yeah.
what was an even-ish game for pretty much the entire time ended at 20